Yo, what up, world? 502 King Paul coming to you out with another video, man. So crazy how things tend to work out. So yesterday, I'm thinking about doing this video that I did not have the time to actually get it done yesterday. But I went out for a little self-care time and I went to a restaurant. I'm just looking through some of the YouTube comments and I see someone ask me a question about the exact same thing that I was going to make a video about yesterday. And the question that this viewer asked me was, did you notice that you were losing weight? Did you see yourself start to lose weight as you started smoking weed? And I responded back to him. I said, man, it's crazy. I was actually thinking about doing a video on this exact same topic. So a little bit of background on this before I jump into it. Just growing up, and especially, in high school, I played sports really heavy. Football was something that I played in high school. And during this time, my pops would cook, really big meals, try to put on weight, put more weight on me. And I would work out each and every day. I was heavy on my push-ups, just taking care of my body, a lot of water, and just, doing what it was I was supposed to do. So I grew, and I was a lot heavier in size than some of my peers during that time period. But then, as I went on to college, as you know from previous videos, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I started to smoke weed very, very heavy. Very heavy. And I can remember coming back from college, my first winter break. This was just the first break. I'd only been through one semester of college. And I came back home and my stepmother said to me, you're getting really skinny. She didn't say it in a mean way or anything like that, but she said, you're getting skinny. And, my pops had said something about it as well. My mom mentioned it as well, that I had dropped weight since I went off to college. And one thing that I've noticed about weed, and I'm not saying this is the same for everybody. You can't do a blanket statement and say it's the same for everybody. But what I've noticed personally from my observations of people around me is that you typically have two different kinds of smokers. You have smokers who start smoking weed and they gain weight, and you have smokers, which is the ones that you see more often, they start to smoke and they lose weight. In between last year and this year, I have gained a total of 20 pounds. Now, for some people, this may be hard to believe because you look at me and say, well, he's still a relatively slim guy. How could you have gained 20 pounds? Well, firstly, I gained the first 6 pounds when I started going back to the gym. When I started going back to the gym, and I won't even say consistently because I wasn't going consistently, but I just started actively getting back into the gym last year. And I was still smoking when I first started going to the gym, but I gained those first 6 pounds during that time. Now, from the time that I stopped smoking weed up until now, I gained the additional 14 pounds. I look back at some of my old videos that I posted. I look at the video that I posted on when I say why I decided to stop smoking weed. I look at old pictures, not only from last year, but from years prior. And I look at myself, I'm like, man, you are really just unhealthy. You looked sick, to be quite honest. I started to look sick. I look very smoked out. And smoked out doesn't look the same for everyone. But I can say for sure and for certain that when I look at certain people now, and even back then, I just didn't, I didn't really care because I was smoking weed heavily at the time too. But when I look at certain people's pictures and stuff that they post out on social media, or when I just see people out in the world, I can look at someone and tell if they are a heavy smoker. Not only by their size, if they're out of shape, whether it's extremely skinny or if they're overweight, I can look at you in your face, your skin, your lips, and tell if you are a heavy smoker because I was there at that point in my life. I've been there for many of years. So I know what it looks like when you run across another smoker. That's why a lot of smokers, they can identify other people who smoke weed. I had a lot of people who would come to me during that time period when I was underweight, and they would say, after knowing me for a while, man, do you smoke? And I would say, yeah. And they would say they smoke too. Man, I had a feeling that you smoked. And we would both have this conversation with each other because you can identify physical things that you see in other smokers, other people who smoke heavily. Now, I know a lot of people will come with different debates and things like that and say, well, you know, if you just do it in moderation, I'm going to be completely honest. I do not know very many people who smoke weed in moderation. Just being straightforward with y'all. Either you're a smoker or you're not a smoker. That's typically what I see in the world around me, all the people that I run into on a day-to-day basis. Either you smoke or you don't smoke. But it's very rare that you come across people who just smoke in moderation. Moderation meaning they may smoke once out of that month. They may smoke twice out of the month. Typically, if somebody smokes weed, they're going to be smoking on a regular basis. Now, back to the whole, losing weight thing. Like I said, I started dropping off a lot of weight my freshman year of college. I started to lose weight even more afterwards. It got to the point where because I was so used to looking one way before and I started to look a different way now, I became more self-conscious, lower self-confidence because I saw how I was starting to change, how my body was starting to change, how I just didn't look like myself. I didn't view myself as looking sickly, or I probably would have stopped smoking weed, but I knew that my body was not where it used to be. I've actually had friends, family members come to me before and say, man, you are losing too much weight. You're too skinny. I even had my own mother say to me before that, she asked me because she was so concerned, are you doing drugs? She wanted to know if I was doing drugs because I had dropped so much weight. And when I say drugs, I do not mean, are you smoking weed? She thought that I was doing some heavier drugs to drop the weight that I was dropping. I had gotten that skinny. I look back at a picture when I went on vacation in 2018 and I could see my bones. I mean, it was just very unpleasant to look at this point in my life. But back then, I really didn't think about it too much, man, because I'm just in it. I'm just smoking. And one thing that I know is that from coming out of that and looking back on it, man, everybody notices it. Everybody knows it. Even now, my mom, she'll hit me up and say, such and such family member said you're looking good. You're looking healthy. You're putting on some good weight. I've had actual viewers of my channel reach out to me and say, hey, I can tell the difference in how you look now compared to how you look back then. And you look so much more healthier. I could tell that you were not as healthy back when you were doing those earlier videos as you are right now. So the people who care and the people who are not afraid to offend, they will tell you straight up and down, but everyone notices it. But some people will not say anything to you because they don't want to offend you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to, just put themselves out there to get into a confrontation with you when they're just really saying something out of a place of they care. They're worried. They want to know what's going on with you. And if I was to try to pinpoint any particular reason why, you start to lose weight or gain weight as you smoke weed, like all chemical things aside, I'm not a scientist. I don't have the scientific knowledge to know how weed really affects your body. But one thing I will say is that I think for me personally, the reason why I started to drop weight is because I lost focus when I started smoking weed. I lost my energy, the excess energy to be able to move around, to exercise, to do the things I would typically do more often. And overall, it affected my discipline. Because in order for you to stay healthy, it requires discipline. And that's one thing that people don't talk about often enough. We talk about all these different factors and things and the food and this and that. But all it really takes, man, and not saying it's a little thing, but what it really takes is discipline. You have to be able to have discipline in order to progress in any part of your life. If you want to be healthy, discipline. If you want to get your finances right, discipline. If you want to get your spiritual life together, discipline. Your mental, you want to get smarter, discipline. It's going to take you doing something over and over and over consistently and not coming up with excuses. See, when I started smoking weed on a regular basis, what would happen typically is that, for one, like I said, I would lose focus. I would lose focus on how much I was eating for the day. You know, we think that we're eating a whole lot. Like skinnier people, they tend to think that they are eating a lot. I'm eating a whole lot. But when you really break it down and look at the calorie intake, which is something that I do now, again, it comes back to that focus. I pay attention to how many calories I'm putting into my body each day. I wasn't really tracking that. I was just saying, okay, I eat a big meal at this time, a big meal at this time. I eat a lot. And now me and being in the place that I'm in now, I eat once. I eat a snack. I eat again, lunch. I have my protein shake. I eat again, but I'm keeping track of these calories all throughout the day. It's that focus. My energy level, how it was affected by weed. You know, I would be wanting to go to the gym. I always kept a fairly active lifestyle, but I would convince myself after sitting there and smoking, man, I don't feel like going to the gym. And I don't feel like going. You know, I know people who are on the opposite end. I know guys that smoke every single time before they go to the gym. But one thing I noticed, a difference in between my workouts now and then, is that I push myself a lot more. I push myself harder, to go harder, to really just push my limits on each and every exercise. Whereas before, I would get tired, like, I don't really feel like doing this too long. I don't feel like being in here too long. I want to get back out and do whatever it is I want to do. I want to go smoke again. I'm looking forward to when I get out of here, getting me maybe some food, maybe not, which was another bad thing that I was doing during that time, and go back to smoking. I was just looking forward to that next session. My friends called me, yeah, man, we're going to smoke. Cool, I'm at the gym, I'm out. I'm out of here. And I'm going to that session. Again, it all came down to, my energy and then just having that discipline, because for me personally, it was very hard for me to discipline myself to say, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm drinking my water for the day. I'm going to make sure I'm eating the correct meals. I'm getting the right calorie intake, that I'm going to the gym on a consistent level. Man, when I first started going to the gym, when I was still smoking, I would look at my little app that showed how many times I'd been to the gym. And literally over the month, I would have maybe went about 5 to 6 times. You do the math on that. That means I was going maybe 2 times a week taken off where I wasn't there at all. And I really wasn't seeing the results that I could have. Now I'm in the gym at least at the bare minimum 3-4 times a week. There may be some weeks when I get in there, I'm in there 5-6 times a week, but it just depends on what my schedule is like. But either way, even if I don't go to the gym, I make sure if I'm not going to the gym, I'm getting my push-ups in the morning, my push-ups in at night, and then I'm still getting that food inside of me that I need. Because a lot of people get confused, man. They think that you gotta, just go to the gym, You won't see any real gains until you start to eat. Now, on the flip side of this, the people who gain weight when they start smoking weed, let's talk about that for just a moment. It's typically because, again, it's the lack of focus and discipline and just, having that energy to be able to say, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to exercise. That goes out the door. They start to eat all these different fast food restaurants. I know some people that, man, when they started smoking weed, they gained an unhealthy amount of weight. And again, these are more rare cases. Typically what you see is people losing weight. But I do know people, a few men and a nice handful of women, that once they started smoking weed, they started to get out of shape. They started to let themselves go. They stopped working out and they just started eating and eating and eating and eating and eating. And you cannot do this. So again, I don't think that it's the weed necessarily, but it's definitely the effects of the weed that you smoke that allows your body to shift one way or the next. And I highly encourage, man, anybody who is watching this video, if you do smoke, which, I suggest that everyone really, try to move away from it, because the benefits, once you get on the other side of it, is so much greater than that temporary high that you receive that you have to keep paying your money for. But if you do smoke, make sure that you're going to be extremely conscious about, your life decisions, your health decisions that you're making in your life. How you're eating, what you're drinking, if you're working out, how often you're working out, just paying attention to how much you're sitting around. the lack of exercise in your life, man, it will go a long way for you to do this. And my personal goal when I work out, honestly, is for one, so I can feel good with the way that I look. I'll be completely honest, because I don't like being way underweight. I don't want to be overweight either. So I keep a nice healthy balance there. But also another reason is when I don't go to the gym, when I don't work out, man, I'm not that old, but I'm not super young either. So I start to get those little aches and pains in my body. When I don't work out, when I go even a week now and I'm not going to the gym, I'm not staying active, I start to feel, a crook in my neck, back pain, pain in my leg. I remember I was having like knee problems and just stuff that I shouldn't be experiencing this early on in life. But, working out is what keeps all that stuff away. It keeps my body able to move around, able to do the things that I need to do, and the ability to stay healthy and be here for my family and to be here for my friends and loved ones, man. So hopefully this video helped out, answer that question that I received, man, from one of the viewers about this. Hopefully this video helps to inspire, motivate other people to, take more of a serious stance on your health and realize that you are more likely to either go underweight and lose a lot of weight, or likely to be overweight when you smoke weed on a consistent basis. This video is not to shame people. It's to be educational. It's to motivate, inspire each and every one of us to live our best life, man. It's 502 King Paul. I love y'all. I truly do. I thank y'all for being continued viewers of this channel. I pray that y'all have a blessed day. I'm out.